Get that on the video. Oh.
It's live. We are live. This is the crew as of, what is today? June 25th. 6th, isn't it? 26th? 25th.
26.
26th.
You never on time today.
Mike, what's this all about?
This is about the process to inspect and how to present to a customer. So, we are going to go over this and implement some new bumper guards to help you guys sell some stuff. So, I just want to review this, make sure you guys understand this, and emphasize what I want you to do every day. And we're actually going to have you call Ben before you present to every customer. Every single customer. You build your estimates and your quotes. You call Ben before you present. Okay?
We all call them at the same time.
It is going to happen, but we need you to do this. We're only going to do it for a little bit right now because we have not been able to close what we need to close. That video is making it very difficult for me to speak.
Yeah, get over it.
So, well, some of the things I was going to say was not appropriate for video.
Yeah. Maybe we need a video more.
Maybe we do. save y'all some stuff. Okay, so let's start with building estimate and inspection step by step. So first we test the continuity of the controller, check all runtime zones, run through each zone, make minor adjustments, spray heads, don't adjust rotors unless we install them, prioritize investigating the reason why the customer called us. Very important to reestablish why we're out there. If a customer called us for a leak and you are fixated on this head over on the other side of the property, they feel like they weren't listened to. Always make sure you prioritize talking and investigating why they called you. I don't care if it was a clogged nozzle. Make sure you're all over. Flag any issues and flag potential upgrades. Okay, that is super important. Just because something is working properly doesn't mean it can't be done better. When you have flower bed adjustments, lines in the turf change, moving heads are required. It might pop up over the flower bed guardrail, but it really needs to be in the turf. Stuff like that is easy upgrades. Moving heads was my favorite upsell because you can charge a lot because the customers know it's hard work and it helps them a lot. So we can categorize any issue into three things. This is how I categorize it in this document, so that's how we refer to it. And the first one is emergency, an irrigation emergency, something that absolutely needs to be dealt with same day. So this is anything that's going to produce water running down the street or anything shooting water straight into the sky. So stuck valves are going to do this, mainline leaks, lateral line leaks. Lateral line leaks you don't have to fix same day. If they're really in a tight spot, you can help them turn off that zone. Geysers to me are an emergency because they're shooting straight up in the sky, making a big mess, hitting your house. I've seen geysers go up and hit the underneath side of the siding of the house and then leak into the bedroom. They had water in their bedroom and the geyser was shooting straight into their house. The second one is irrigation right. So something that needs to be done to bring the system to code or the proper standard practices, right? So this looks like spray heads that are working but aren't straight up and down or aren't grade level. So if they're high, if they're low, if they're leaning, to me, this is something that I would expect to be flagged on my property because you're a professional, right? So don't just give them the bottom of the barrel, oh man, I'm doing, I'm not fixing everything you need because I'm helping you out on the price. No, flag, assume they want everything to be proper and to code. Flag everything. So that's going to be the biggest example of an irrigation right is going to be head coverage, not getting head-to-head spacing, heads that aren't sticking up properly, leaning over, and too deep or too tall. And then number 3 is the upgrade. Something that isn't necessary, but the customer wants a higher option, a second quote, a higher end option. Always present the first quote with everything, categorizing 1 and 2 issues. And then the second quote we categorize with number 3. So higher options are going to be your Wi-Fi, upgrades, your MP rotator upgrades. If you can tell that they, you know, something to that customer might be a higher end option, but to other customers might just be a regular thing. So make sure you gauge the customer. Some people adding 2 spray heads to a flower bed to bring it up to code might really be something. Other people, it's just the way it needs to be. Hey, in the meeting, what's up? Yeah. So, we want 2 quotes. The first one, we want to include the emergencies and bringing it up to code. So when a customer calls us, like I'm saying, they're calling a professional company, they're going to expect professional results. You don't want to present the emergencies and only the emergencies and leave the bringing it up to standard as the upgraded quote. You want to include that in one, because you need to say, hey customer, this is everything that you called for, and this is everything to bring your system to a good standard that you can have confidence in it, right? So you don't want to split those up and make them think that it's okay just to deal with the emergencies and leave your crooked and tall heads out of the ground, because that's really not right, okay? So you want to make sure you categorize them in one quote, and then you present the other quote as well. You present the iPad, you say, hey, this is to fix everything we talked about, and then everything else is to bring your property up to standard. If you would like, I can walk you through those. Also, I noticed you could help, you could use some efficiency with Wi-Fi upgrade and MP rotators, bring your water efficiency usage up and your water time usage more proper to the weather conditions and stuff like that. So if they really just want the emergency stuff, then you talk about what was just super necessary. If they say, hey man, you know, I want to get everything done, but I can't quite afford that entire quote.
Rosie.
You can either A, see what they can afford, call the service manager and say, hey, they can't quite afford this, they were hoping to spend this much, can we do this work for them? The service manager will help you either reduce the price or reduce the stuff you're doing. Or B, you can revert to say, you know, I understand it's a lot of work, but we at least need to fix this head that's spraying up in the sky and this leak that's making a mess in their yard. We at least need to get these 2 things done. Go ahead.
Is that what we're calling Ben for?
Yeah, so you're gonna call Ben and explain what you found on the property and what's on each quote, okay? So identify what needs to be done, identify what upgrades, and he's gonna help you make sure you're presenting 2 quotes that make sense and that are gonna be something convincing to the customer that they need. It's gonna help you make sure they need them. So it's gonna help everybody understand how to present and what to present with, okay? Because presenting 1 quote, you're leaving a lot of money on the table and you're not providing options. Customers want to have options, you know. When you go get a coffee, you have the option between a medium coffee and a large coffee, right? That gives you options, makes you feel like, I want to splurge, give me the large coffee. Not today, give me the medium coffee, right? And plus, when you show a upgrade option for $3,000, and then you show a regular option for $1,200, all of a sudden that $1,200 isn't that big of a deal. But if you show, we fix your emergency leak for $500 and we bring your system up to standard for $1,200, all of a sudden that $1,200 is a huge number, right? But compared to $3,000, whatever, it's not even half of that. Let's just get everything done right and we'll go from here, right? So a lot of that has to do with how the customer's going to think about the quote, think about the dollar amount. Is always going to be relative to the dollar amounts you present. If you present it like it's a lot of money, the customers feel like it's a lot of money. If you present it like it should just be nothing, right? The customers are going to feel like, oh, this is nothing to these guys. I guess everybody spends $1,200 to bring their system up to par, right? But if you're like, man, I know it's a lot of money, $1,200 to get everything up and running, they're like, oh, my, you charging too much? Like, do you need to charge me less because it's a lot of money to you? You need to. Bringing 2 quotes allows you to mitigate that with just almost scaring them with the big price and bringing them down. And customers will just go with the upgrades sometimes. You'll just land them and they'll want all new MP rotators, and now you got a full day job sold. Easy money, easy work, and you're still providing a really good solution to the customer. So, and then after that, I know you guys know this, we just go over some basic basic issues to look at, right? So heads leaking at the base is something flagged. Clogged nozzles, that's a nozzle, flag that. Damaged spray heads, rotors, and etc. That could be a motor clip the spray head. It still works, but it's leaking a little bit, right? So damaged spray heads, just because they pop up and spray properly doesn't mean they're not damaged, okay? My car drives with a big scratch down the side of it. It still drives, still gets me to work, but it has a scratch. I want the scratch fixed. Heads that are hitting buildings and fences. So when you got a head spraying up against the side of a building, that head might not have been, that area might have not have been designed properly. Okay, so a lot of builders will do this. They'll put heads along the side of, it's a 10 space deep, and they'll put 10 heads 10 feet apart, but you can't quite get head-to-head coverage on up against the fence, so they'll put 12s in there. Now you're nailing the fence. You're going to erode the dye on the fence or erode the dye on the house. Water surfacing. All of these items are things that you can flag and talk to the customer about. And one of the issues that I like is actually a valve, right? So any valve that takes longer than 15 seconds to open up or close down, I talk to the customer about it. Say, hey man, this valve still works properly. It might work like this for the next 20 years, but typically when we see valves taking longer than 15 seconds to close down, that valve's on the verge of sticking open, right? So the innards are eroding away. It's still shutting down. I've seen them shut down like that for 20 years, and I've seen them shut down like that, and the next year they stuck open, and now you have an emergency service call, an emergency service, and it's a big ordeal. Go ahead.
I talked to Garrett about this yesterday, but if the double check has no handles, can we turn it on or off, or is that out of our?
If the double check does not have handles, we don't want to mess with it.
That's what I was under the impression of.
Yes. So if you put your channel locks on a nub without handles and you get it stuck halfway open and it was open before, it's really on us.
So this other guy, he opened them up with channel locks, and then I had to fix the main line. He wanted me to cap off an entire zone, and then he wouldn't let me test it. Instead, he wanted to wait till midday to test it himself. And I told him, I said, I can't personally open that backflow, but if you want to open it up to test it, you're more than welcome to, because once I put my hands on it, it's my liability now. So that was the correct path.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to, if a customer doesn't want you to be able to test your work, then we need to have a conversation with the customer. Look, man, we're not going to put our name on work that we can't test and make sure we did it right.
He's like 85-year-old Marine dude. Is pretty like.
Well, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're 85 or 25. If you're not letting me check my work, you're hindering me from doing my job. And I'm a professional and I'm proud of my work, but I can't be proud of it and I can't guarantee it if you don't even let me look at what I did, right? It's kind of like adding a bunch of zone and moving a bunch of head without even letting me turn on the system. It's bullcrap. So if he wants to turn it on for you, you work on it and then turn it off. That's one thing. But even then, that's borderline, not really that cool. If a double check does not have handles on it, we need a quote to present to the customer to show that, hey, your double check needs replaced. The handles are rusted.
I presented the quote. He didn't want to replace anything. He didn't even want me to do a system inspection. All he wanted me to do was cap off that main. That's literally it.
That's something that you need to, stuff that's specific like that, you need to call service managers.
I talked to him on the issue about it.
I was under the impression that we can't do anything mainline related if the backflow's not up to par.
That's really it. The biggest thing is that I do want you guys submitting 2 quotes. Ben might ask you to submit 3 quotes to the customer, depending on the scenario. That's going to be relative to the property, relative to the customer, relative to the issues at hand. But that's new temporary.